Okay, so we're watching a video called How Good Was Isiah Thomas Really? Now, obviously, I love Isiah Thomas personally. If you want to know where I rank him before the video starts, I rank him number 4 all time as a point guard. I think the only point guards I have above him are Oscar, Magic, and Curry. Now, could this guy convince me to put him over any of those guys? I don't know. That's a hard task. I think that's something that, I guess you could argue technically, but the only one would be Curry, which is already hard enough. Now, I'm excited to see this video just to see what he talks about. But, I'll try to, not pause the video too much, but I'll definitely give you guys insight. That being said, make sure you like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it.
When we talk about the most legendary players of the 1980s, usually 3 players are the first names to get brought up.
Magic
Johnson, Larry Bird, and a young Michael Jordan.
Right.
And although those players should be the first names to come up, that's
a crazy foul
mentioned in that group.
No way he made that shot.
Gets overlooked.
He made
Isiah
that.
Lord Thomas.
Lord is a hard middle name.
When you
That's
hear
his real name.
talk about the greatest point guards of all time, you'll hear a few names come up. Obviously, Magic Johnson still stands on top, but after him, you'll hear people mention Steph Curry, John Stockton, or even Allen Iverson in some cases.
Or Iverson.
But if you ask me, there's no
Iverson's
player more deserving of the second spot on the all-time point guards list than Isiah Thomas.
That is a crazy statement. I personally think he didn't even mention Oscar. I think Oscar has a much better case than everybody, including Magic, to be the best point guard ever. But besides that, I think it's Magic, Oscar, Curry, and Isiah. I think that's the big 4. So anybody else, I think Isiah is better than them personally. I know people are going to disagree, but that's just my opinion.
Isiah was one of the clutchest performers in NBA
Absolutely,
history.
Yeah, man. Scored 25 points in a quarter in the NBA Finals.
And a Finals
Should have been
MVP,
3-time
But he had
champion.
numerous legendary
If it wasn't
moments
for
in
a
the
phantom
playoffs
call.
where he simply took over the game.
And I guess
Like
that
in the
Bird steals the ball
against the Knicks in a pivotal 5th game, where Isiah dropped a whopping 16 points in the final 94 seconds of the 4th quarter, forcing the crucial game into overtime.
That's insane.
Or how about Game 6 of the quarter?
How many
Isiah
points?
dropped a whopping 16 points in the final 94 seconds.
A minute and 34 seconds.
The crucial
He scored
game into overtime. Or how about Game 6 of the 1988 NBA Finals against the Lakers? Minutes into the 3rd quarter of a close game, and Isiah severely sprains his ankle. He appears as if he could barely stand.
That brother could not stand. They had to walk him out.
But Isiah, being the fierce competitor that he is, stayed in the game and basically played
Absolutely.
on
That man
one
scored
foot.
25 points.
Despite the fact that he was playing through pain and on a swollen ankle, Isiah caught fire and carried the Pistons on his back.
Someone makes a shot like that, you're screwed.
Finals record
Just
that
perfect.
still stands today with an amazing 25 points in a
One-legged
single
bank
quarter.
shot over Michael.
And once again, he did that on a severely sprained ankle. Isiah ended the game
with an
incredible 43 points, 8 assists, 6 steals on 56%
43, 8,
shooting
and
from
6
the field.
is crazy.
Many people remember Michael Jordan's legendary flu game in the 1997 NBA Finals.
Which is
But
annoying.
if you ask me, this game from Isiah Thomas on a bad ankle was the most heroic Finals performance in NBA history.
Probably.
Guys
I'm trying to
don't
think.
drop 25 points in
Probably.
a single quarter of the NBA Finals, especially when the player can barely even walk right due to an injury. But that's just the kind of player that Isiah Thomas was. Isiah, in many ways, was
That was amazing footwork, timing, and he used his body properly.
just the kind of player that Isiah Thomas was.
What?
Isiah
Look, he uses his body. He might have thrown a little elbow in there, but hey, it's not a foul, so. But, gets enough space,
in
goes
many
straight
ways
up.
was so
Good
ahead
jump
of his
shot.
time. He had an
was good,
extremely
man.
high usage rate and often
Just footage-wise,
operated as
he
the
looks
focal
really
point
good
of
on the floor.
Pistons offense. He was a small and shifty guard who
That's
could
amazing. He
facilitate,
slipped
could
and still
score
got
from
it
the
through.
perimeter and
Absolutely.
could finish even when challenged in the painted area.
Which is crazy because he wasn't
also
jamming
one
on
of the
people like
greatest
that.
ball handlers of all time, with the ability to create space
loved him
with
to
his
sleep and then
agility
shot.
and misdirection. One thing Isiah doesn't have is longevity
No,
and the all-time
he got hurt
statistics
too many
because
times.
of how short his career was. He battled with
And
ankle
the
injuries.
crazy thing is, this dude, I think his second year in the league, maybe third. I don't think it was his first, but he averaged 20 and 13. Like, if he would have kept that pace for 10 years, oh my goodness, we would be. See, that's where it gets hard to compare him with other players because he was so good. his statistics only fell off, or his stats only fell off because he tried to play within the team, and it worked, and he won championships, so you can't blame him, but...
injuries throughout his career.
I wouldn't even say they fell off.
His season was cut short due to a torn Achilles. Isiah was only 30
He's definitely better than Iverson,
when he
though,
played his
eyes.
final game in the NBA. To help put that in perspective, this upcoming season would be Steph Curry's final year in the NBA if he left the game as early as Isiah Thomas did. That's just insane to envision, considering how Curry still appears to be in his prime and to have so much left in the tank. So what I'm essentially saying is that the overall career numbers of Isiah Thomas don't accurately reflect his greatness. When Isiah was on his game, he was an all-time great and one of the baddest dudes in the league.
And then goes by.
Isiah had the numbers, the success, and the skills to be talked about among the all-time greats.
He had a lot. Like, I think when people... I feel like his criticism comes more because of Michael Jordan and what happened with him and Jordan. I think a lot of the media doesn't like Isiah Thomas because of that, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just think that's why it's the case. But could be wrong.
When people talk about Magic, Bird, and Michael, they often don't include Isiah, even though they should.
Footwork, using his body, hip check them, sent them a little far back, spin jumper. Or not, I guess not a spin jumper, but, beautiful jump shot. That's just incredible IQ right there.
If you ask me, I think it's simply because Isiah doesn't fit the poster child image that the NBA is going for.
That's true.
Isiah was the leader.
He was throwing hands with man. I've seen, this guy was fighting everybody.
About Magic Johnson that
he was not afraid, I'll tell you that.
Didn't appreciate. And in another instance, he said some racial comments about Larry Bird that sparked a media reaction and a press conference.
The comments about Larry Bird, I think that was more with Dennis Rodman, correct? I think where Isiah should have just dismissed it, but he kept, he was like, well, I guess, yeah, Dennis Rodman is saying the truth or something like that. But, see, I just don't think, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm not thinking straight, but, yeah, no.
He just simply wasn't the most well-liked guy to a lot of people, and the NBA didn't advertise him like he was.
They didn't like it because his team was good. That's annoying.
And violent style.
Look at him throwing hands with the 7-footer.
He made that tarnished his image a bit. Isiah simply doesn't get the recognition he deserves based on his incredible talent. Here's an example. Michael Jordan's flu game is legendary and referenced often in the NBA community, but Isiah Thomas's 25 points in the single quarter of the NBA Finals...
Actually, LeBron's, I think, 24 or was it 26 points in the conference or semifinals in 2009 is mentioned more than Isiah's 25 in the NBA Finals versus the Magic Lakers or the Showtime Lakers.
On a bum ankle,
you're at the peak of their
simply
powers.
Treated like an afterthought. Why is this? Because one player is more marketable than the other.
That's true.
Imagine if Jordan had a game where he dropped 25 points in a single quarter on a bad
glad he did it, because it would be unbearable.
On the NBA's biggest stage. If MJ had been the one who did that, people in sports media would bring up that performance just about every day.
They would make it part of the standard
in my last
criteria to be
How
the
Good
greatest.
Was He Really video, I compared Scottie Pippen's game to Kawhi Leonard. But in this video, it's honestly hard to compare Isiah Thomas to a modern player because he was truly so...
I agree. I think I have a hard time comparing Isiah Thomas. If I had to pick, I guess not current wise because he's not as good as he used to be, but I would say peak Chris Paul, but I think he's a better scorer. I think Isiah is a better scorer, which I know people are going to disagree because of efficiency or something like that, but I just think Isiah in this era would be one of the most efficient players in the NBA, or point guards in the NBA for sure.
Unique. Isiah was the best ball handler in the game at the time, and
today
he was
would
an
be
elite
probably the best as well.
facilitator and could be an elite scorer when he needed to be. When you hear people facilitator and could be an elite scorer,
that's a ridiculous pass.
When you hear people talk about a player's play style, they'll often describe a player as
Nah, I'm gonna listen to what he said, but look how you look. This is just incredible IQ. Check this out.
Player's play.
Look how he's faking. He's already faking that drive. The moment this guy bites, he crosses it over, and he already knows. So in his mind, he already knows. He moves a second. I'm just gonna shoot a jump shot.
Style.
So right there, he made that right there. He already knew to take the jump shot.
Often describe a player as a
boom, boom.
Score first player.
Kind of already knew because of the way he plays.
Player.
It's pretty amazing.
For example, Rajon Rondo is clearly a pass-first type
Isaiah
player,
was a mix.
while Steph
Like,
Curry
he was literally
is
a perfect mix of
shoot-first type
scoring
player.
and passing.
You can't really put Isiah into either of these categories, though, because he was so well-balanced and so good at doing both.
Right.
For example, no other player in NBA history ever averaged over 13 assists a game for a season while averaging over 20 points per game. That was Isiah Thomas in his prime. He was one of the greatest dual threats the NBA had ever seen.
20 and 13 is insane.
If I had to compare him to a player from recent history, I would say Isiah was like Chris Paul in his prime during his New Orleans days, but on steroids. He was an undersized and intelligent point guard and an elite ball handler just like CP3. He could score and facilitate with the best of them, just like the prime Chris Paul, and they were both fierce competitors. The thing that really separates their greatness, though, was Isaiah's ability to raise his game when it mattered most.
Which is a great argument.
Isaiah was
because
clutch,
Chris
and
Paul
you
is
could
known
never
for not
relax
being
on
the clutchest
defense
player
against
ever.
him in the meaningful games.
Which might be unfair,
Because you
but
knew
it's just the way it
Isaiah
is.
was coming at you with the best he had to offer. So
That's a
just
crazy
how good
shot.
was Isiah Thomas? Simply put, way better than most people realize. Thanks for watching as
Absolutely.
always. Make sure to like and
Look at that
subscribe
bounce
for more
pass, lob
relevant
pass.
NBA
Oh,
videos
nice.
and for more content on the
I can't even
NBA's
do that
rich
in 2K
history.
myself, man.
I think this is a series I plan on continuing, where I put a spotlight on a player and
That was
we
a nice
examine
pass.
just how
That
great
little-
he really was and who they're comparable
I
to.
think I've seen that clip a
Let me
couple
know in the
times
comment
already.
section how good you think Isiah Thomas truly
Even
was.
look at him.
And let me know which player you would
Dang,
like to
his
see me
jersey's
do
full
a
of
video
blood,
on
huh?
next in the How Good Was He Really series. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
That was a great video. Let me go back just because I don't like the blurry screen. Well, I think that video is a very good video talking about Isiah Thomas. One thing I have a question about, which I never understood, if someone can get 20 and 13, do you really care about his efficiency? Like, too much? Which sounds weird, but, within his era, because he played in the 80s. It's not like he played in today's league where it would be so much easier for him to get a high efficiency. Like, I generally think the way he plays, I'm trying to think who plays like him today's NBA. The name that comes to mind is SGA, but maybe I'm wrong. Obviously SGA is a much bigger guard, but where SGA gets that, SGA has one of the best handles in the NBA, and he goes in and he uses a lot of that mid-range jumper, and so I think Isiah plays kind of like that in a sense, in terms of players that are playing currently. But man, I would love to see Isiah in today's NBA because his ability to drive is very underrated. People don't talk about it. I think he was one of those players who had that proper mix. To me, I'll give you an example. If Derrick Rose had Isaiah's talent or ability like that, Derrick Rose would already be considered a top 3-4 point guard in the NBA in NBA history. But he didn't have that same overall talent. Both of them from Chicago, which is kind of hilarious. But yeah, and on top of that, I think a lot of people are unfairly critical of him, where they look at his efficiency and discredit him and say, well, he's not as efficient as the others. I think you can't do that because he played in the 80s, and on top of that, it's I don't even have to look at footage to know that a guy that's good at driving on highlights, who's very crafty, has a great handle, has a good jump shot, and in his stats, he averaged 20 and 13. I can tell that he collapsed defenses. He knew how to go in and throw a proper pass out. You know what I mean? Maybe not as much as LeBron or something like that, but I value that as well. And so, yeah, no, I would say for sure top 4. I don't think it moved him up, but I do think they nailed it on the head. I said this earlier, but I truly think that a lot of the criticism Isiah gets is because of Michael Jordan and what happened between them, where Isiah Thomas was screwed out of the dream team because of Jordan, which ended up hurting Isiah Thomas' legacy, which, in my opinion, I completely understand why Isiah has problems with Jordan. I would have had beef with Jordan as well. You're going to destroy my legacy because you were a sensitive little babe? Okay, maybe not. I don't think Michael was too sensitive. I think Michael took it as disrespect, which I guess you can understand, but I think that's part of the reason. That being said, what can I add to this video? Not much. I think Isiah is a lot better than people realize. That being said, God bless you. Jesus loves you. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And see you guys tomorrow with another video, and this one might be a little special. Thank you for watching.